That's what it makes me tinkle.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I'll be working on my 34 Dodge, doing a little bit of a maintenance series for this vehicle right here. I built this car probably about 7-8 years ago, and this thing is completely custom. If you haven't seen it, I'll post a picture right here, and you're probably gonna see it running later on in this episode. But it was a 4-door car, now it's a 2-door, complete custom frame, full roll cage, running a Mopar 440 big block, fuel injected by the MSD Atomic EFI system. Paired to the 440 big block, I have a Torqueflight 727 transmission. It's a 3-speed automatic with a manual valve body. If you're not familiar with what a manual valve body is, essentially it's an automatic transmission that won't shift to the next gear automatically, or picture that as an actual manual car without the clutch pedal. So you have to just slam it into the next gear, first gear, second gear, third gear. You can just slam it right in and it just takes right off on you. Originally when I built the car, I had a problem where the transmission pan was leaking, so I bought a B&M aftermarket aluminum transmission pan, and that came with a cork gasket. That cork gasket is completely failing now, and I'm just dripping transmission fluid everywhere. So I picked up a brand new OEM Chrysler gasket for the transmission pans. We're gonna drain the transmission fluid out, drop the pan, swap out the gasket, and put it all back together in this video here. So Dave's on his way over right now to help with everything, so I'm gonna get everything ready. We're gonna get that transmission fluid drained. Let's do it. So we're underneath the car right now, and I don't know if you can see, but just all the transmission fluid that's just spewing everywhere. And up along here you can see the gasket, and you can see how it's bulging out right up here. The cork gasket is just completely bulged out. So that's probably where the source of the leaking is coming from. And it just, when you're driving, it just sprays it all over everything. It's all over the exhaust H pipe back here. You see the drip right there that Dave's pointing at right there. First thing we're gonna do is we are going to hit this little drain plug right there, and we're going to start draining the transmission fluid out of the pan. In action.
All right. Ow. It hurt me. So the key is don't drop this thing in the bucket. This thing doesn't even have a gasket on it. What the hell is that, man? Let's see. Oh, I guess there is a gasket in it. It's just stuck to it. It's like brand new.
So we're just draining the fluid out of the pan right now. I've got to get some Allen wrenches. These are all held on by Allen heads. Two, probably what, 3/8" bolts on that side to hold the shifter.
The worst part is filling this back up. That sucks. Whoever came up with the idea of filling it up to a dipstick tube. And then, not only that, you gotta let it sit for a few minutes because all the dipstick tube's full of fluid, so when you slide it in there, it gives you a false reading. That's what makes me tinkle.
So on the stock pan for the 727 Torqueflight, there's no drain plug.
None of them do. None of the factory ones do.
So I kind of like how this aftermarket one at least has a drain plug. So right now we're just taking out all the bolts that hold the pan on. The pan will come down.
So here's a tech tip for you, just in case you don't know. If, say you're working on the floor, and you don't have a drain plug in there and this thing's full of fluid, take out all the ones in the front, but leave the two back ones. And then you put your pan underneath it and then you loosen these things, loosen them, and the pan will tip down and pour the fluid out.
So I have a new, this is the filter right here.
There?
So we need to change out that filter. We'll grab the other one. What's that? What's holding that filter on?
It looks like a flat blade screwdriver bit.
Since we drained the fluid and dropped the pan, I figure why not swap out the filter. So here's the new Wix filter, that's the transmission filter. I will comment in the description down below what the actual part number is for this Torqueflight 727. what we're going to do right now is we're going to take the actual transmission pan outside and we're going to spray it down with brake clean to clean it all out. Make sure there's nothing in it before we reassemble. Ugh. So we're using the original Chrysler gasket. This has really good reviews. It's a hard plastic, double rubber ring around it. So the original genuine Chrysler part number is 246432-4AC. It says oil pan gasket, but it's a transmission pan gasket. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but that's what we're working with right there. I'll also comment in the description down below what this actual part number is.
Slide it in. Oh yeah.
All right, so we've got the pan back up into place where we want it. Now we're just gonna tighten these bolts up. So right now we've got the transmission pan completely bolted back into place, all cleaned up. It's all nice and clean. We wiped down the exhaust pipes with brake clean just to try to get off any fluid around here. We wiped down everything that we saw transmission fluid on. We've got the transmission fluid drained out of the transmission pan. The gasket's been replaced. Everything's been reinstalled. We're gonna drop the car back down and fill the transmission back up. So right now we're gonna take the hood of the car off so we get easier access to the dipstick to fill the transmission. All right, I got these stupid buttons here that hold the hood on. I use my little special tool to get the hood off. It's just like a quarter turn and they pop. And it's a good way to scrape the paint. Done that. We're gonna be filling the transmission with the Dextron 3. It's an old transmission. It does need synthetic transmission fluid. So we're gonna go with this stuff right here, Valvoline flavor. We've got this funnel going into the dipstick for the transmission and Dave's dumping it down the funnel, the transmission fluid. This is probably gonna take, I'm guessing, around 8 to 9 quarts for the transmission fluid. If it takes more than 8, we're gonna have to go pick up some more. So we'll probably put in the 4 quarts and then...
Probably 6.
Okay, we're gonna do a 6 quarts and then check it.
Because it looks like it had about 6 quarts in the bottom of that bucket. Because this is a gallon. It was a 5-gallon bucket, right?
Yeah.
So we know that there's 4 quarts to a gallon.
We're gonna save this bottle to dump the oil and transmission stuff into to return to the store for proper disposal.
Yes.
Also known as my backyard and hole.
I have.
It came out of the ground, it's going back in.
17 5-gallon buckets of it.
What?
17 5-quart
I was gonna say 5-gallon buck. Holy shit, you're a hoarder.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to a car show next weekend. I've got a California duster. I dust the entire car off and then I wax the entire car with a ceramic wax. Seems to do a pretty good job.
That's my thumb.
Give me your thumb.
I need my thumb.
I want your thumb.
I need my thumb. I like it.
Give me your thumb.
I can't put it.
You need to live without it. Mine now.
Right.
All right.
All right.
So the transmission is now full, so we're gonna have to fire the car up, put it in, I believe, neutral.
We're in neutral.
To actually fully test this out. So we're gonna do that right now to see where we are for levels.
Feels like it's in park.
Parkour! America. I hate that. That squealing noise is horrible. That's what we're going to be replacing the alternator in the next video. So coming up in a future video, we're going to be replacing that alternator, which is where the squealing noise is coming from when we fire this thing up. It is pretty bad.
This thing squeaks.
And it's pretty embarrassing when you're at a car show and you go to start up and it's like, whee! So I think we're about a quarter too low right now with the transmission fluid. So we're gonna have to run out and grab some transmission fluid real quick. And we're smoking out the garage from when we wiped off the transmission fluid from the H-pipe and everything. It's just smoking off right now. But I think that'll clean off pretty quickly. So we're gonna grab some transmission fluid and we'll be right back. We're back from Advanced Auto Parts or Auto Zonage. And we picked up another 4 quarts of transmission fluid. So far we have 8 quarts in. We're probably gonna be around another 2 quarts. We just bought what they had available, another 4 quarts of the Dextron or Dextron stuff thingy-mabobber juice.
We're not a huge fan of STP, but
unless it's the band, I did like Stone Temple Pilots. Why does this one smell like farts in a can?
it smells horrible.
Ooh. Whew.
It's the stank that makes it go.
Great. The other one didn't smell. It seriously didn't.
I know. Scientifically treated protection. That's what they called it, STP.
Yeah, scientifically it stank. Alright everyone, that's going to be a wrap for this video. As you can see on the 1934 Dodge project, we were successfully able to replace the transmission pan gasket. The new gasket, 100% better. There's absolutely no leaks around anywhere. We replaced the gasket, we cleaned up underneath the transmission pan, and we filled it back up. Rear-ran it through forward and backwards on the lift a little bit just to cycle it through some shifting, and all the levels are absolutely perfect. No more leaks that I'm seeing right now. So coming up in next week's video, we're going to actually work on just changing the oil. Pretty simple video, just going to change the oil and try to figure out where that oil leak's coming from. So as always, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, smash that big red subscribe button, smash that notification icon down below so you know when I do post future videos, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.